never imagined a single joke could change everything. It was one of those nights where the room felt too quiet, like the world had slowed down just enough for me to forget how fragile our little bubble had always been. I was sitting across from him, the wine glass trembling slightly in my hand, more from nerves than the drink. My words were careless, but in my defense, I didn't think he would take them seriously. I had said, almost laughing, "You could never protect me. You're too weak." I laughed again, more to fill the silence than anything else, but something in the way he looked at me froze me in place. It wasn't anger, at least not the kind that storms and shouts. No, it was something colder, sharper, something I hadn't seen before in him. His eyes didn't dart or twitch, they stayed fixed on mine, and for the first time in years, I felt a weight there I couldn't name. A quiet, impossible weight. I expected him to shrug it off, maybe tease me back like we always did. Instead, he stood up. He didn't say a word, didn't gesture, didn't plead or curse. He just left. I remember the way the door clicked behind him, how the sound echoed in that small apartment. It was the first time I realized how long it had been since I had felt truly alone. Not just physically alone, but emotionally abandoned. And yet, in that moment, a strange clarity washed over me. The joke I thought was harmless had been the final thread in something that had been unraveling for a while. Looking back, I can pinpoint the cracks now. The little dismissals, the quiet sighs, the unspoken resentments. I had noticed them but ignored them because I didn't want to. It was easier to pretend, easier to tell myself that love meant enduring, that marriage meant holding on even when it hurt. But he didn't hold on. He walked away. And that walk wasn't just down the hall. It was the first step out of a life I had thought was secure, a life I had thought would be untouchable. I sat there for hours, staring at the empty space where he had been. The room felt heavy with everything we hadn't said, with all the conversations we had avoided because they were too painful, too revealing. I realized then that protection isn't just about strength in a fight or standing in front of someone physically. Protection is also emotional. It's the promise that no matter what happens, you won't abandon the person who trusts you the most. And he had left. The thing that haunts me most isn't just that he left, but how effortless it seemed. No hesitation, no second glance. Just a simple motion, a decision made, and my world shifted on its axis. I began to replay the moments leading up to it. The way I joked about his weakness, how flippantly I tossed the words into the air. Did I really think they were harmless? Or was there a part of me that needed to test him, to see if he would rise to the challenge, if he would fight for us? I think it was a little of both. I wanted to provoke, to see strength, but deep down, I also wanted to see if he cared enough to stay even when he felt insulted. I realize now that the measure of love isn't in grand gestures or heroic defenses. It's in the quiet, consistent choices to stand by someone, even when it's uncomfortable, even when they push you away. And he chose not to. As the hours bled into night, I felt a strange mixture of fear and awe. Fear because my life had changed in a moment, because the foundation I had trusted had crumbled under the weight of a single careless joke. Because I realized that sometimes people reveal themselves in ways that are impossible to ignore. The man I thought I knew, the husband I thought I could rely on, had drawn a line, and I had crossed it without even seeing it. By the time the city fell asleep outside my window, I understood something I hadn't admitted before. Marriage is not a shield, and no one is obligated to stay if they feel betrayed, even if the betrayal is just words. Protection isn't automatic. Strength isn't just muscle or willpower. It's commitment, it's endurance, it's the courage to stay when everything inside you wants to run. And he ran. I stared at the wine glass, at the liquid shimmering under the dim light, and I realized I had laughed too soon, spoken too carelessly. My joke wasn't just a joke, it was a mirror. It reflected every fear I had about him, about us, about what it meant to rely on someone else completely. And in the silence that followed, I could hear the truth more clearly than ever. Sometimes the ones you count on the most are the first to leave.